Royal Rebounds TV with Calvin and Barry. Just two crazy fans of the Sacramento Kings, and they sharing their opinion. So be sure that you subscribe. It's for the fans, by the fans. Whether you chilling on the couch or wildin' in the stand. For laid back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gon' be our year. We're here, drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring, yeah.
Where's Da Vinci?
Yeah, they just wanna see me in the grave. Come out the law in the rave. Oh no, I can't wait. You can read what you sow in the day. I was down, now I'm up to the plate. Got a couple hits, cause you know I can't play. We gon' win it no matter what the shirt. Got the stick, we gon' bring it out the shirt. I was down below the commas. I put dollars on my head like I don't wanna. Yeah, I'm proud of what I did, I'm gonna come up. Yeah, you left me on red, so don't try to run it. Want no smoke, then come in peace. Flow so foreign overseas. Got them praying, they like please. They want cheddar, not no cheese. Undefined, they don't get it, it's amazing. I was down bad in the basement. I would pray to God for a placement. I was never patient, I was always racing. Got me on the drive, that's a flagrant. Little boy, tell me what you chasing. We gotta do better, gotta be clever. Gotta love more, that's a statement. Yeah, they just wanna see me in the grave. Come out the law in the rave. Oh no, I can't wait. You can read what you sow in the day. I was down, now I'm up to the plate. Got a couple hits, cause you know I can't play. We gon' win it no matter what the shirt. Got the stick, we gon' bring it out the shirt.
It's silver step, yeah, I was just inside the grave. When I resurrected in like 3 whole days. Put up on my car, I had a sneaker. I might take a tenant because we the wave. Walk around the house, got drip on anyway. They gon' eat it up like it's a dinner day. Seen a Lambo, claimed it on the interstate. Claim it's nothing when it's Jesus in the stage. On the front and silver, it's the game. I feel my calendar, I'm losing track of all the days. Call me water boy, and I was giving lemonade. I was sitting on the bench, they had to put me in the game. I be from the data, they said ice is in my veins. Got a shit of guts, but I'll never be ashamed. Pushing on the breakthrough when I know it's gonna be great. It's time to celebrate you when your family gon' hate.
They just wanna see me in the grave. Come out the law in the rave. Oh no, I can't wait. You can read what you sow in the day. I was down, now I'm up to the plate. Got a couple hits, cause you know I can't play. We gon' win it no matter what the shirt. Got the stick, we gon' bring it out. And I'm back like I never left. They just treating every song like another check. I'm pulling up to every court and I'm calling next. They try to end me, now I'm stopping my foot on their neck. You'll be surprised what they do for attention. God looks into your heart and intentions. I see you judging in all of my mentions. I'm out the grave, I thank God for redemption. Now I'm taking it a step at a time. My future is bright like I turned on the lights. It's crazy how I see them right through the blind. I used to explain how I'm catching these flights. Don't hit my DMs with arrogance. I gotta do it with excellence. I'm reaching the needy, it's evident. And they still in the room with the elephant. Wow. Yeah, they just wanna see me in the grave. Come out the law in the rave. Oh no, I can't wait. You can read what you sow in the day. I was down, now I'm up to the plate. Got a couple hits, cause you know I can't play. We gon' win it no matter what the shirt. Got the stick, we gon' bring it out the shirt.
Welcome to Royal Rebounds TV with Calvin and Barry. Just two crazy fans of the Sacramento Kings and they sharing their opinion. So be sure that you subscribe. It's for the fans, by the fans. Whether you chilling on the couch or wildin' in the stands. For laid back conversations about the Kings, subscribe here. Staying down until we come up thinking this gon' be our year. We're here, drinking beer, talking about the Kings. Be sure you subscribe so you can hear that bell ring, yeah.
What's up, Royal family? Welcome back to Royal Rebounds TV and another Royal Rebounds podcast live with Calvin and Barry. We are breaking down the Sacramento Kings' unfortunate loss to the Dallas Mavericks today, 105-99. Happy Halloween, everyone. It's also Sunday. It's football. I hope all y'all fantasy teams are doing great, both for basketball and football. How's yours doing, Cal?
My fantasy team, I don't have one in basketball. It's just too much for me. I can't do the everyday lineup adjustments. I need Sunday football, Monday night. But my fantasy team is struggling once again. I am a sub-500 team this year.
It happens. It happens.
It does happen.
I want to remind you all to hit that like button down below if you are a Kings fan. And also, if you'd like to join the Royal family, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. Felipe, I see you in the chat. Welcome, welcome. We're going to talk about De'Aaron Fox a little bit later. It is a rough game for him, another rough one.
Rough game for pretty much every member of the Kings
Yes,
team.
yes.
There weren't many guys that didn't have a rough game tonight.
Yes. The Kings dropped to 3-3 on the season, which is not a bad thing. They're still 500. I know many Kings fans think that there were some victories that could have been had in the past couple games, and I agree with them. They kind of fell apart this game right from the start. They just started out so slow. I think it was 17-3 to start the game. Kings did not shoot well in this game at all, Calvin, right?
No, they shot terribly. And, you know, that happens. You have to be able to play through it. They did manage to work themselves back into this game, not just once, but multiple times. So that's one of the good things to take away from this. They still have not had that game where they just got blown out. This was probably the one, in my opinion, that if they were going to get blown out, it was going to be this one. Everybody was missing shots. Mm-hmm. Like you said, 17-3 to start. You're on the road. Just came out really, really flat. It's an early game.
Yep.
They just did not look ready.
They had to travel yesterday.
First quarter, I was thinking, oh, man, this is going to be a rough one. But, you know, the good things that I take away from this game are, one, the fact that they were able to work themselves back into the game again. Mm-hmm. We've seen them do that multiple times, not just in this one game, but over the course of the season. And two, the bench. As soon as the five starters, or I think it was four, subbed out, they kept Harrison Barnes in after they were down 17-3. Tristan Thompson and Davion Mitchell, they came in and they ignited this team, and they helped bring them back. So once again, it's something that we have talked about a lot so far, but the bench has been such a crucial part of this team in how they don't get blown out, and they're kept in games. When guys aren't making shots, when your starters or your star players are struggling, these guys are able to come in and hold the load for them.
Yeah, I was really surprised. You know, after the horrible start for the Kings, it seemed like every shot the Mavericks were taking in the first quarter were going in. And then I look at the scoreboard at the end of the first quarter, and I'm like, the Kings played like shit, and they're only down 9 points. This game is still winnable. Fast forward to the end of the game, the Kings gave up 105 points, which is right where we want them, right? You know, They picked up the defense later in the game. You know, they only allowed 22 in the second quarter, 23 in the fourth quarter, which was great. But one thing that really surprised me was Tristan Thompson came in this game really, really early, right at the start of the second quarter, played 21 minutes tonight, 13 points. How'd you feel about Tristan Thompson and his contributions?
I loved him. I really would like to see him more for the Kings. I know that Coach Walton's been doing this sort of matchup-dependent rotation where Alex Len is getting the call against these bigger teams. And Dallas is a fairly big team. They got a lot of length at really every position now, not just the big men. But I think Tristan Thompson is a very valuable piece of this team. He's going to provide the energy and the effort that you need off the bench every night, whether they're down 15 or they're up 15. He's going to bring the same level to the game every single time, and I think they can really play well with him. And I love the Davion Mitchell and Tristan Thompson combination. They seem to kind of click together, and defensively, you know, they play off each other. They feed off each other's energy. So I really, really was happy with with Tristan Thompson tonight.
Yeah, I was.
Today, I keep saying tonight, but
I was
today.
impressed. I was impressed by him. 5 of 7. You know, I thought he did a great job. Passed the ball a little bit, got some rebounds. No Marvin Bagley tonight.
Yep.
Porzingis was out, as we all know. But I was really surprised to see 0 minutes for Alex Len. You know, Alex Len's been playing great lately.
Yeah.
Coach Walton seems to have a lot of confidence in him. And then all of a sudden, 180, no Alex Len. Tristan Thompson plays a lot. We still haven't seen Metu. Is there a reason to this rhyme, or what is going on here?
Well, I really think they have this idea of who they like matchup-wise for each particular game, and they stick to it. They don't try to deviate from their game plan in terms of rotations. Is that the right move? I don't really know. It definitely worked tonight. Tristan Thompson had a really good game. Does that mean that Alex Len couldn't have come in and given them a lift as well? No, he definitely could have. But they really do stick to the game plan and how they approach it from a substitution standpoint every night, not just tonight. Today. God, I don't know what's wrong with it.
It's a time difference, right?
Yeah.
Because it's in Dallas.
Yeah.
So 3 more turnovers tonight for De'Aaron Fox. Also 3 for Buddy Hield. Before we get any further into this podcast, I want to address something. I had a comment in a video we posted a couple days ago. Papa P 1971, he said, "This is a Bash Buddy channel." And he went off. He said a lot of other things beyond that I'm not going to bring up. But I just want you all to understand, Calvin and I, we're not bashing any player on this channel. We're Kings fans. We want the Kings to succeed. We want the Kings to play well. But I think an important part of that is accountability for every player. It doesn't matter who you are, what the name is on the back of your jersey. You make a bad play, we're going to call you out for it. You make a good play, we're going to praise you. We've had lots of videos talking about wonderful play for Buddy Hield, breaking 3-point records, shooting really well, playing good defense, improving. We've also had some videos where we've been critical of Buddy. And we've been critical of lots of Kings players because that's what we do. So, Papa, welcome to the channel. We're not a bash Buddy channel. We're not a bash anybody channel here. We just want the Kings to win some games. Right, Cal?
Of course we do. Of course we do.
So, yeah, we got that out of the way here. And if any of y'all think that we bash anybody, not true here. We're all about the Kings, all about winning games. So, on that topic, Cal, you want to dive here into the box scores?
Yeah. Rashawn Holmes, big day for the Kings, led the team with 22 points and 13 rebounds. He played fantastic. Even hit another 3 at the end of the quarter there, as the clock was expiring. Everybody else had a really tough night. Harrison Barnes still managed to put up another double-double, 15 points and 10 rebounds in probably his worst game of the season. Mm-hmm. Shot 1 of 8 from 3, 5 of 16 from the floor. And then De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Haliburton with 14 points apiece, 8 rebounds and 6 rebounds, 4 assists apiece as well, but they both shot pretty poorly. 5 of 16 for De'Aaron, 5 of 14 for Tyrese. They were both 1 of 4 from the 3. Tristan Thompson, 13 big points off the bench, and Buddy Hield, 11 points despite 3 of 12 shooting. The Mavericks had a really good game plan to stop him early on in this game. They forced him into some very uncomfortable situations, and he didn't even get up that many shot attempts until the second half. They really limited his effectiveness tonight, I thought. For the Mavericks, no surprise here, but Luka Doncic leads the way, 23 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds. Outside of that, 16 points for Tim Hardaway Jr. and 13 for Dorian Finney-Smith. Pretty balanced scoring on the bench. But to me, the biggest turn in this game was at the end of the third quarter. Kings are down 3 with about 2 minutes left, just under 2 minutes. Luka's on the bench, and they give up a 7-0 run to the Mavericks. While Luka's out of the game, Mavericks close the quarter up 10. To me, that was the big difference. You just cannot let the Mavericks take advantage of Luka being on the bench like that. And that allowed him to sit more on the bench to start the fourth quarter, get a little bit more rest. And we saw when he came back in, he was really aggressive. So you just cannot have that close the third quarter situation.
Yeah, I totally agree. We got to see a little bit of ex-King Willie Cauley-Stein tonight. 14 minutes, only 4 points. Outside of Luka Doncic, not a lot of Mavs had a good game tonight. You know, there were a couple in the teens in scoring. Nobody really shot well, especially from three. Even Luka, 1 for 7 from three, 4 for 11 for Tim Hardaway, 1 for 6 for Dorian Finney-Smith. The only person that really shot good from three was Ntilikina. And looking at the overall field goal percentage here, the Kings only shot 39% tonight, 19% from three-point range, which is horrible. You're not going to win any game. You're not going to win any game in the league shooting that.
And yet they only lost by 6, and they were in this game late.
Mavs only shot 44% for the game, 32% from three. It was kind of a scrappy game, and Dallas had a little bit more towards the end of the game. They showed that they wanted to win this game more than the Kings did.
Yeah, it just came down to the Kings didn't hit shots in the fourth quarter, and they didn't get enough stops. I mean, it's really that simple, honestly. I thought the Kings did a pretty good job withstanding that initial run.
Yep.
You know, the Mavs came out, I think they started 4 of 5 from three. You knew it wasn't going to continue like that. Even though this team does shoot a lot of threes, Luka is not a great three-point shooter himself. Outside of that, they've got some guys who can hit, but, you know, it wasn't going to continue like that. So the Kings had their opportunities, turnovers again. One thing they did really well was another game over 80% from the foul line as a team, which is great.
That's the only positive I see out of this game.
Yeah, definitely one of the few.
BV50, we're going to jump into the Marvin Bagley versus Luka Doncic debate here a little bit later.
I don't know if it's much of a debate.
Yeah, not at this point, but we're gonna touch on that here a little bit. Adam wants to talk about De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
I know, you know, we've tried to stay positive, you know, regarding De'Aaron Fox, and you look online, there's very extreme people on both ends of the spectrum that are Fox is out, Fox needs to leave, he's the reason this team is losing, blah, blah, blah. And then you have people on the other spectrum that are like, De'Aaron Fox is our best player, you guys are stupid. You know, we're all on the same team, guys. We're all working towards the same goal here, and that's the Kings making the playoffs. You know, everyone can have their own opinion, and that's important, but you can't be bashing people for their opinions. So as far as De'Aaron Fox, 39 minutes tonight, only 14 points. This is, 4 games this season. He scored under 20 points. The Kings are 1-3 in those games. I think he's got to do more, Calvin.
Well, he definitely has to do more. There's no getting around that. We need him to be the all-star that everybody believes him to be. But I will say, watching this game today, his shot selection to me is a big thing that I would look for when I'm watching De'Aaron Fox play. I was totally okay with his shot selection tonight.
Yep.
A lot of mid-range stuff, a lot of open shots. He did take 4 threes, but I wasn't,
they were open.
I wasn't disappointed with any of the three-point shots that he took. I thought he was aggressive enough trying to get to the basket, but he wasn't forcing the issue. He just flat out didn't hit shots that I expect him to make. Runners in the lane, pull up jump shots from the free throw line extended area. That's just got to come. I mean, there's nothing else that he can do. He just has to make shots. And the turnovers have been an area of focus as well. He had a couple turnovers late that were not so great. 3 for the game. He's just in a slump right now, a pretty major one, and he's going to have to shoot himself out of it.
Yep.
But I liked everything that I saw offensively from him tonight. It's just a matter of knocking down shots. If he hits 2 to 3 more shots, the Kings either go to overtime or they win this game. So,
yeah, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, guys. And everyone that's just joining us here, welcome to Royal Rebounds TV. This is the Royal Rebounds Podcast live with Calvin and Barry. We are breaking down the Sacramento Kings loss today to the Dallas Mavericks, 105-99. It was a rough shooting night for everybody on the Sacramento Kings, including De'Aaron Fox. We're talking about him here a little bit. 14 points for him tonight. As you mentioned, Calvin, a lot of open shots for him, a lot of misses. You could say that pretty much for the entire Kings team.
Yep.
But it's one night, but it doesn't seem like it's been like one night for De'Aaron.
That's true.
He's had this slump. We saw him 27 points in the first game. He came out strong. And then he's kind of been in this slump. It seems like almost like he lost his mojo, right? Because he looks like the same guy. He just heads down a little bit. He's not making the shots. He's not connecting on the passes that he throws. 3 more turnovers tonight. He just doesn't look quite like himself, right?
Yeah, he's definitely off. You know, he's in a rut. And as a player, the more shots, open shots you take that don't go in, it just begins to build and weigh on you more and more and more and more. And this is a guy, you know, we all know how badly he wants to play well and how badly he wants his team to win. So it's very frustrating, but it's 4 games, or what are we, 6 games in now? Yep. Anybody who wants to get rid of De'Aaron Fox because of this 6-game stretch, I don't really have anything to say to you. I mean, he's still a great player. The Kings need him on this team. Trading him for Ben Simmons is not going to fix anything, I think. It's not going to automatically make them a championship contender just to swap those 2 players.
We're going to talk about that a little bit later.
So De'Aaron's got to play himself out of this, and I think he will. You know, he will. There are better days ahead for De'Aaron Fox, which means better days ahead for the Kings.
Yeah, and, you know, Calvin and I talked about how Harrison Barnes has been playing like the best player in this team, but I think we both agree that De'Aaron Fox is the best player when he plays to his potential.
Yeah.
And a Sacramento Kings team going 3-3 to start the season when your best player has not been playing very well is a positive and something that you can build off of. And honestly, you know, you look at this team, there's been some good games from Harrison Barnes. There's been a good game by Davion Mitchell. Tyrese Haliburton's had a good game. But for a team that hasn't really played good together or had multiple guys play well on a consistent basis, 500 is pretty good, especially considering how hard that opening schedule was.
Yeah, and it's going to get harder. I mean, it's not going to get easier, I guess. But, you know, I would say that they've played well as a team in a lot of different moments this season. They just haven't put together a full game where they've all played well together. That's what's missing right now. You got to put together a full 48 minutes.
Yeah, and as BV50 points out, you know, the Kings were flat tonight. They didn't shoot well, but they fought hard. They were in this game. They had a chance to win this game, which is great. You know, they didn't give up. It's all you can really ask for from this team. For me, a big turning point in this game was in the third quarter when Luka hits that shot from the logo. Kings cut it to 3.
Yep.
In the fourth quarter. Kings cut it to 3.
Yeah.
They had a chance. End of the shot clock, playing good defense. Luka just hits a great shot from the logo.
Does. And then right after that, the Kings turn it over, and it leads to a fast break dunk.
Dorian Finney-Smith
it's a
dunk.
5-point swing or 7 or whatever it would be, you know.
We got some people here in the chat. Fox is not a star. That was super hard to watch. Brunson is a solid backup to Luka. I agree with that. Trade Fox ASAP. Probably would have been better to put a bigger guard on Brunson tonight. Fox is just another Tyreek. Wow. We had a bad game. Relax, guys.
Man.
True. We did have a bad game. Fox gotta go. Wow. You guys are pretty adamant here.
I'm curious. Jalen Brunson didn't have a great game. I don't know what putting a bigger guard on him would. He was 3 for 10 from the field with 8 points.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought they did a pretty good job on him, actually.
And 2 turnovers.
Yeah.
Who are you guys trading Fox for? That's what I want to know.
The only guy that hurt Sacramento tonight was Luka.
Yep.
Really the only guy. Because once he gets going, that's when the defense has to collapse, and you have to throw more than 2 guys at him, and then they hit a couple threes at the end there. Tim Hardaway Jr. hits one. Dorian Finney-Smith hits one.
Brunson only had 2 assists tonight, too, so I know he was facilitating a little bit, but 2 assists is not anything that's going to kill you.
He's a great player. He's probably one of the better backup point guards in the league, I would say. I think he could start for a handful of teams in the NBA, he didn't really kill the Kings tonight.
Yep.
Davion Mitchell had that great defensive play against him in transition, just like we saw on Donovan Mitchell, where he ties him up. It's tough. Luka is so hard to defend because he's so smooth and he's so patient. He's able to get to his spot no matter what. What you really have to do with him is you have to force the ball out of his hands, and you have to force him to take outside shots.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make the other guys on this team beat you, because once he gets down there onto the post, if it's too late, if you don't double him right away and force the ball out of his hands, then he gets that easy shot because he's so good with the shot fake and using his body, and he's able to get to the free throw line too. So that's the one thing that you just cannot allow to happen.
And he does basically the same move every time.
If it ain't
and
broke,
you
don't fix it.
can't stop him, which is crazy. He's not the fastest guy. He's not the quickest guy in the league, and somehow it works. He's crafty.
And yes,
and
that 3 he made was a dagger. It was for sure. But it was his only 3 tonight. He was 1 for 7. So you have to live with that. You have to live with him shooting from outside. Because last year he only shot 28% from 3. He has not elevated that to the rest of his elite level game yet.
Yep. And also to everyone who wants to trade De'Aaron Fox, why you want to trade a guy when he's not playing well? The whole idea is to buy low, sell high. So chill on De'Aaron Fox, give him some more time, let him get healthy, let him get back into his rhythm. And if you guys have any trade ideas, let us know in the chat, because I haven't seen any I like so far. Either way. So while we're on the subject of Luka Doncic, I think it's official. It was probably official the first month of the season 3 years ago. But I think it's official that Luka Doncic is a better player than Marvin Bagley. Marvin Bagley recorded did not play tonight, coach's decision.
Yep.
Not sure exactly why, other than the fact that they could potentially be trying to trade him and not wanting him to get injured. But it's funny, Vlade's reasoning for not drafting Luka Doncic was De'Aaron Fox, right? And we heard there was a rumor that the Knicks had offered Porzingis for De'Aaron Fox. So the Kings could have had that Porzingis, Luka Doncic lineup.
Yep.
And we know Vlade loves his European guys, so that probably was pretty attractive to him. But he seemed committed to De'Aaron Fox. And then as soon as Vlade is gone, they draft 2 more guards in Tyrese Haliburton and Davion Mitchell. And that brings me to this discussion now. Davion Mitchell's been playing great. He's not always there offensively, but he's always there on the defensive end of the floor. He's always in the middle of plays, and he seems to be very inspirational to other players. He's been getting a lot of praise around the league from other guys. So it makes me wonder, what if De'Aaron Fox was not on this team? This is not a trade De'Aaron Fox rant at all. I'm just thinking, you have Davion Mitchell running the point, Tyrese Haliburton playing off of him on the 2 guard. How good could this Kings team be?
Well, are you asking me if we just subtract De'Aaron Fox from the
Yes.
team and there's no addition?
Yes.
I don't think they're very good, honestly. I think that hurts them. And if that was the case, I would probably rather have Tyrese play the point full time and let Davion play off of him.
Interesting.
I really think Tyrese is the best facilitator on this team. I love him in the pick and roll. But I think we have to be honest. The Kings are not a better team without De'Aaron Fox, unless you're bringing in somebody else to replace him. There's just no way that could be possible.
That's funny, Joseph. Yeah, welcome, Joseph. Join us. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Sorry, we have not been dumping on De'Aaron Fox. We've just said he's had a rough start to the game. It's okay.
If anything, we're pressing, relax. Everybody relax on De'Aaron Fox. Yes, it's a tough start. Yes, it's frustrating because he's supposed to be the guy on this team. He's supposed to elevate them to the next level. But it's a long season. He's got plenty of opportunity left for that.
Yeah, the only thing I have to say is, De'Aaron, bring the hair back, man. Bring it back. We want to see you go Super Saiyan.
I think losing the hair helped him a little bit, perhaps.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. So that makes me, I guess, go a little bit further in this question to you. Does Davion make De'Aaron Fox expendable for this team? Does having two legitimate point guards or guards in Davion and Tyrese make De'Aaron expendable? And to expand on that even more, we talked about Buddy Hield, how he makes a lot of money coming off the bench, but this 6-man role seems to be perfect for him.
Yeah.
If you're able to start two guards on rookie scale contracts in Davion and Haliburton, that gives you a little bit more flexibility in paying a guy like Buddy to come off the bench. And we've seen how this Kings team has relied so much on Buddy Hield offensively.
Mm-hmm.
If Buddy would have hit 2 or 3 more threes tonight, I know you could say that about anybody.
Yes.
But if he would have shot like he has been, Kings would have won this game, or at least been very, very close.
Mm-hmm.
So does De'Aaron and or Tyrese make, or sorry, does Davion and or Tyrese make De'Aaron expendable?
No. It's a pretty easy answer.
Okay.
For me, I haven't, as good as Tyrese has been in his great first year, made the all-rookie team, and as good as Davion has been with the types of ways that he affects the game so far, those two guys are not on De'Aaron Fox's level. They're not.
Yep.
So does it make him expendable? Absolutely not. I mean, first of all, you can't just lose your franchise player for nothing. I don't care what team you are. That's not going to solve any problems. I do love Tyrese and I love Davion Mitchell. Are they going to develop into star players in this league, people that would make De'Aaron Fox expendable? That still remains to be seen. I'm not going to say yes or no on that. I think they have a lot of potential to be really, really good players in this league. But we're talking about, before this season started, everyone was on the same page that De'Aaron Fox is one of the 8 best point guards in this league, which point guard is probably the hardest list to make the top 10 in this league.
It's like quarterback.
Yeah. So no, they do not make him expendable.
Yeah, guys, let's see you guys hit the like button. How many Kings fans do we have in here? I only got 6 likes. If you guys are Kings fans, make sure you guys hit that like button down below. Come on, guys. Come on. All right, so we see here in the chat, guys are going back and forth here. Fox, write it out with Fox. And Fox's plays make him expendable. That's hilarious. De'Aaron Fox, give him some more time, guys. Come on. He's done everything for Sacramento. He wants to be here.
I just want to know, if he's so expendable, what are you going to get for him? And if he really is so expendable, you're probably not going to get a great deal in return, right?
Derek says Fox for Siakam, or Pascal Siakam.
I like Siakam. I'm a big Siakam fan.
But do the Raptors do that?
Is Toronto doing that deal?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so moving on here. Season low in three-pointers tonight for the Sacramento Kings. They only made 7 threes. It wasn't just De'Aaron Fox. I know he went 1 for 4. Tyrese Haliburton went 1 for 4. Mo Harkless, 0 for 3. I know we've been talking about him and whether he belongs in the starting lineup. He only played 17 minutes tonight, which is pretty incredible. I like what I saw from Tristan Thompson.
Yep.
I might consider starting Tristan Thompson in one of these games, especially against a bigger team.
Next to Rashawn Holmes?
I know they're playing against Utah next, so maybe I would consider that. But that brings me to Harrison Barnes. 1 for 8 tonight from three-point range. Luke says he's a much improved three-point shooter. He wants him to get 8 threes a game, which he got tonight. He only made 1. 15 points. As you said in the intro, probably Harrison's worst game of the season.
Easily, I think.
And the Kings lose.
Yeah.
So that brings me to question whether Harrison Barnes is reverting back to his mean. Do the Kings win? Are the Kings 3-3 if Harrison Barnes had played like this? And also, is this loss on Harrison Barnes?
Oh, no. This loss is on the whole team. Absolutely on the whole team. Nobody showed up today except for Rashawn Holmes. He had a really, really solid game. And, kind of the way that he plays, the style that he plays, and his role on this team, I don't know if he's ever going to have a bad game because he takes such smart shots. He's so efficient. He hits his free throws, and he's always on the glass. The only way he can have a bad game is if he gets himself in early foul trouble and eventually fouls out. But for the rest of these guys, they all needed to step up, not just Harrison. And is he reverting back to the mean? Well, yeah, he's not going to shoot 51% from 3 for the whole season. I will go out on a limb and make that prediction right now. But is he going to shoot 41, 42, maybe even percent from 3 this year? That's very possible. So they just all didn't show up today. They didn't make enough shots. They did put together some good, comeback momentum multiple times in this game. The fight is still there. The effort is still there. But like Coach Walton said at his post-game press conference, the start to this game was unacceptable. They just cannot come out that flat, put themselves in that big of a hole too early. It just made coming back so much harder, and they had to do it multiple times because they would put together these 2 to 3 minute stretches where they played pretty well, and then they would put together 2 to 3 minute stretches where they played terrible.
Yeah, I think that this game is kind of one you just got to sweep under the rug and move on. The team was not ready. I don't know if that's on Luke Walton or coaching staff or players or not, but they just didn't seem ready to play this game. But as a positive, they fought back. They only lost by 6. They were in this game late, a game that they played horrific pretty much the whole game. So there's some positives you can take, but I think this is just one of those games where you're like, we had a bad game.
Yeah.
There's 82 in the season. We got to move on.
Yeah, and, the excuse is going to be, well, it was an early Sunday game. They traveled the day before. But that's no excuse. This is the NBA. If you're going to be a playoff team, you got to show up for these games.
Yep.
So.
Yep. What up, Buddha? What up, Sean? What up, Kevin? Welcome, guys. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Hope you guys are enjoying your Sunday. Hope your fantasy teams are doing well as well.
Better than mine.
Calvin's fantasy team is not doing good. And it's crazy because you and I...
A draft grade.
You and I have a lot of the same players.
We do.
And my team's about to be 6-2 now.
Yeah, I need to be playing in your league, I guess.
But my whole bench is all IR.
Oh, me too.
IR spots, which is hilarious.
This is all your opportunities to get at Barry in the comments for wearing an LA jersey as well. I don't know if anybody can tell.
Yeah, I'm a Rams fan. Sorry, guys. Rams.
He is sporting
Rams and
an
Raiders.
LA team on a Sacramento Kings podcast.
Rams and Raiders. No Niners. Boo Niners. So a couple more comments here from Kevin. Tyrese is going to have a tougher year because refs are calling less fouls. Tyrese needs to put on more weight before he can take that beating.
I think
he did put on some weight.
I think there's some truth to that statement. Also, keep in mind, though, we talked about this on the last podcast. In terms of the fouls, it's early in the year. The refs always have a list of things that are high priority early on in the season. And as the year goes on, it tends to kind of fade back to, like you said, regression to the mean.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that they're not going to call the game differently in terms of trying to get fouls or get to the free throw line throughout the whole year? No, but it may not be quite as exaggerated as it's been so far this year. And I do think that Tyrese in the pick and roll has been really, really effective. The floater, finding Rashawn Holmes, whether it's for a push shot at the foul line or a lob, he seems to be really, really comfortable in that situation. So does he need to get bigger or put on more weight? Will it help him? Yes, it will, and he will do that as he continues to get older. But I like what he's doing right now. I think he's being smart. He's being aggressive when he needs to. He's come alive in the fourth quarter a couple times, as we've seen, which has really, really helped, because we've seen this team not be able to finish games and play well in the fourth quarter. So if De'Aaron Fox is struggling, you need that guy to be able to step up and shoulder some of that load late in games. And I see Tyrese doing that. And like I said before, I really think he averages he's close to leading the league in assists on this team without De'Aaron Fox.
We didn't see a lot of that Tyrese to Rashawn connection tonight like we did in the last game.
Saw more Fox and Rashawn Holmes two-man game today.
Yeah, interesting there. All right, let's talk about closing out quarters, or if you're the Kings, not closing out quarters. Seems to be a recurring theme throughout the season. I think all three of these losses, the Kings weren't really blown out in any of them. They were down maybe 10, 12 points. But that's pretty much it. Other than the early struggles in this game, you look at the fourth quarter, the Kings were in most of these games. Mm-hmm. If they were to close out quarters better, end of the first, second, third quarter, they might be in a better position when the fourth quarter comes. But fourth quarter execution and closeout. We saw another turnover by Buddy Hield tonight, late in the fourth quarter. I know the Kings were down 9, but they just made a shot. Mm-hmm. Buddy Hield turns the ball over again, and Dallas capitalizes by scoring. So what is it you think they can do to improve their fourth quarter execution?
It's a lot of things. I mean, there's not one area, really that you would say, well, this improves fourth quarter execution. It's focus, it's attention to detail. It's also making shots too. I mean, it's something that simple, right? Mm-hmm. If the Kings make 3 more threes in this game, we're not having this conversation necessarily today. But I do think that the types of sets they get into late in games when they really, really need a bucket. There's one thing I notice when I watch a lot of other teams in the NBA. When you really, really need a score or you need a good shot, a lot of other teams can have this one guy that they give the ball to and they say, okay, clear it out. Yep, we trust you. Your judgment's going to be right on this play. You either get us a good shot or a good shot for somebody else. Luka Doncic is a perfect example of that. We saw that frequently tonight. The Kings have a lot of players who are talented offensively, who can break guys down, get to the basket, get good looks, are good outside shooters. But I don't really see that one guy on this team. I would like it to be De'Aaron Fox. I think Harrison Barnes can be that person as well. But I really don't see that one person. And that is a big part of fourth quarter execution in the NBA because it's so much isolation basketball and using your best player to your advantage to get a good shot. So when you don't have that, it has to be more team-oriented. It's got to be a specific play or a specific set, multiple passes. The Kings frequently take shots without a pass early on in their offense. Mm-hmm. I don't think that you can survive that way.
And nobody under the basket to get the rebound.
Yeah, and they were hurt on the offensive glass, especially in the first half today again, which is going to be a recurring theme for them, especially when you play small.
The Kings need a guy that is a walking bucket.
Yeah.
They just need that. And as much as we want Buddy Hield to be that guy, he's a shooter, and shooters are streaky. That's just how they go. You look at some very successful teams over the last decade, they've always had that go-to guy that could get a bucket. It didn't even need to be a starter. Sometimes it was Lou Williams coming off the bench. Just a guy that was like, we need a bucket right now. We're down 5. We got to cut the lead, make it a single possession game. Mm-hmm. Lou Williams can get you 2 points. He can get you 3 points. The Kings don't really have that guy. We all hope, like you said, that is De'Aaron Fox. And maybe that will be him. You know, once he gets his rhythm back, don't know what's exactly going on with him, whether it's an injury, he's out of rhythm, he just doesn't feel like he's in the flow of this offense, or, you know, it could be more than that. We've seen guys have mental issues in the league or things happening outside of basketball that impact their play. Not saying that any of these things could be the driving factor, but they are potentials. And you look at a guy like De'Aaron Fox that we all hoped was going to make another leap this year, got the max contract. We expect a lot from him, and he simply underperformed. So as a Kings fan, all I can do is be hopeful that he can pick it up. I'm not in the camp to trade De'Aaron Fox at this point.
I'm not either. And you can't turn the ball over late in games. That's a big part of execution as well, right? And it's the types of turnovers that they have too. I see too many times they're coming down in transition. The defense hasn't even got set yet, and it's just a lazy, errant pass that's an easy steal. Those you really cannot have.
Yep. I want to talk a little bit about the bench here. We talked about how deep this Kings team was, and it's funny because for such a deep team, Luke Walton doesn't play a lot of these guys.
That's true.
Right. You look, Metu didn't play tonight. Bagley didn't play tonight. Len didn't play tonight. Jones didn't play tonight. None of these guys are injured, or at least we haven't heard they're injured.
Yeah.
It all do not play coach's decision. So that leaves us with Tristan Thompson, 21 minutes tonight. Surprising to me. We talked about how we wanted to see him a little bit more. But you really only have 4 guys coming off the bench. And Terrence Davis, who started a game earlier this season and was getting more minutes, didn't play well again. Only played 9 minutes, 2 points, 0 for 1 from three-point range. But you have guys like Buddy Hield, who puts up a lot of points for them, also takes a lot of shots. And you have guys like Davion Mitchell. Those are the 2 primary guys off the bench that make this bench so potent. What did you like that you saw to the bench tonight, and what did you like, or what did you not like that you saw to the bench tonight?
Well, I liked Tristan Thompson. I liked him a lot. I thought he gave him really, really good minutes. I don't know if the game plan was to play him as the big guy, first big man off the bench tonight going into the game. No Porzingis. Boban isn't out there either, so it makes sense that Tristan would maybe play a little bit more anyway. I also think getting down by 15 early in the first quarter, you really need an emotional spark.
Yep.
There's no better guy on this team to do that than Tristan Thompson, so it made a lot of sense for him to come in at that moment as well. I liked Davion Mitchell's minutes again. There were a couple times where he was matched up with Luka. He did a great job on Luka. What I didn't like is, they just didn't hit shots. Terrence Davis, again, to me, that's one guy who really has to get going.
Yep.
Because if you add him into a lineup of guys who can score, if he's being effective shooting from 3, that's a really big lift for the Kings, and he just hasn't found his stroke at all so far this season. And Buddy Hield, another tough shooting night tonight. Like you said earlier, it's back and forth. And the turnovers. Buddy had 3 more turnovers as well. But overall, it sounds like I'm saying the bench played poorly. I don't think that they played poorly. In fact, they were the reason that the Kings were in this game for the majority of the game.
Key Kings 8 says, if anything, Walton's half-court offense is pretty bad. Too much ISO ball.
I agree with that completely.
And when you don't have ISO players, you can't play ISO ball.
Well, that's the thing, is they do have ISO players. I mean, De'Aaron Fox is got to be one of the best ISO players in the game because of his speed.
Yep.
And he can use that to such an advantage. He gets going downhill. Everybody is crashing the basket to stop.
Hold on one second, guys. We'll be right back. Sorry, some technical difficulties with the camera. We got it back on. We're back live.
We're back.
Sorry, Calvin, for interrupting you. Go for it.
No, that's okay. I interrupted myself, actually. That's my job on the camera. But anyways, all I was saying is that they have ISO players. De'Aaron Fox is an ISO player, but you have to convert. You have to hit shots in order to be effective as an ISO player. So,
yeah, pretty much. Charlie Buttman is lighting up the comments again. That's funny, dude. You're hilarious. I'd at least start looking to see what you can get for Fox. Y'all really want to gamble on Fox being worth the later years of that max deal? That's a no for me. I think it's a gamble trading him, man. Honestly, this guy wants to be in Sacramento. He loves playing for this team. We've seen a lot of positives, and he's got better every year. He's just in a slump right now. What are you going to trade him for? For me, that's a gamble. For me, that is a gamble.
Yeah.
He says Fox has been a walking trash bucket lately. Does that count? It's a different kind of bucket.
Oh. Yeah, good play on words there.
Dennis says Bagley never playing. Let's talk about Marvin a little bit here. I don't know if we have any new news on Marvin Bagley.
Yeah.
He just released another album, I'm guessing. I don't know. What else is he doing right now? He's not playing basketball. But what the hell, dude? What is going on?
I don't know. I think you've said it a couple times. Perhaps they're just trying to make sure he doesn't get hurt so that they can trade him. That's certainly not out of the realm of possibility. Yeah, I really don't know how he ended up falling out of not just the rotation, but falling out of the team so fast. I mean, you heard a lot of good things in the offseason about how hard he was working and what he was going to bring this year to the team. We talked about how it's a big year for him because it's a contract year, so he's got a lot to prove. They just, whether it's the coaching staff or the front office or both, they just don't have plans for him right now as a member of this team. But one thing I will say, I think it needs to be mentioned, is you seeing him on the bench, smiling, cheering guys on. Maybe some of that is a facade or he's trying to put on a show, but I don't think so. It seems pretty genuine to me. And when you're in his position, that's really all you can do, right? Is show up to practice every day, work hard.
His problem's not with any of these players.
Yeah, cheer on guys from the bench, and he's doing that. So I do want to say, a little kudos to Marvin Bagley for the way he's handling himself right now.
Yeah, Marvin's in a tough position.
He could easily just be sitting there at the end of the bench, high-fiving one guy as they come off the floor, looking disinterested in the game. But he's not doing that. So,
yeah, I think it's easy for a lot of us fans to say, give me $11 million. I'll sit on the bench. I'll be Marvin Bagley. He's got it made. But a lot of people forget this guy was the best player in college basketball for not a long time, but a short period of time. He was balling in college.
He was.
And he had a lot of potential. Everyone expected the world out of this guy, me included. I wanted Doncic. Set that record straight. However, I'm not in charge. I just have to do what my team does. They took Marvin. I was excited to have him. Watching him prior to the draft, I didn't even think there would be a potential the Kings could get this guy. Kings end up winning the lottery, which
almost
hurt them. Well, they got the second pick. I think they were scheduled at 7 or 8 or 9.
It's winning the lottery for them, not winning the whole thing. But
so Marvin's in a tough position. I'm really happy to see what he's doing, on the bench. We had in the last live, we talked about Chicago had a lot of interest in Marvin, and there was a potential Kobe White for Marvin Bagley trade potentially in the works. Saw a lot of comments on that one. People saying Kobe White's unrealistic. Marvin Bagley's been benched by the team. He's only worth a second-round pick at this point.
Well, I don't know about unrealistic. Kobe White, the Bulls are really moving on from him right now.
Yep.
We saw last year they thought, maybe him and Zach LaVine in the backcourt was the way to go, and it really didn't work at all. And you can totally tell or totally see now with the new players that they've brought in, they're his stock isn't exactly that high either.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I just don't like it because how many small guards can you have on one team? I mean, It just doesn't make any sense to me.
We saw Anthony Davis benched by the Pelicans. Not saying Marvin's anywhere close to Anthony Davis, but they got an absolute haul for him while he was benched. I know he played a game every once in a while, or he was like on a minute restriction.
Slightly better, or had a slightly better resume at the time than Marvin Bagley does.
BV50 says, keep Marvin clean.
I guess that means healthy.
Charlie says, the Kings recognize that Marvin has more value as an expiring contract. Yeah. I mean, you can let him go for nothing. You don't even have to trade him or anything. He's expiring. He's restricted. Maybe if a team offers him an offer, you say, hey, we're going to match it unless you throw us a pick. And they could do a sign and trade. But yeah, it's just really unfortunate what's happened with Marvin. I feel like, honestly, he could help this team. I know the focus has been on defense, but dude can put up.
They haven't exactly scored a ton of points recently.
He can put up 12 to 14 points, like no problem.
Yeah.
So
didn't even break 100 today.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. All right, so as we all know, the Kings lost tonight or today. Calvin, you're brushing off on me.
Yeah, sorry, that's my fault.
105-99 to the Dallas Mavericks. I think this was a huge game just based on the fact that the Kings and the Mavericks were both tied at 3-2 in this playoff hunt. I was looking at the standings. They haven't changed a lot yet at this point, but the Kings dropped to 3-3. They're tied with the Lakers and the Grizzlies. You look at this top 8 in the West. You got the Warriors, the Jazz, the Nuggets, Mavericks, Blazers, Timberwolves, surprise team, Lakers, Kings. We all talk about the play-in tournament. So 9 and 10 is Grizzlies, Suns. That leaves us with 5 teams missing the cut prior to the play-in. Spurs, Clippers, Rockets, Thunder, Pelicans. This looks to me like almost the end of the season standings.
Wow, really?
Right?
You're taking the Lakers that low.
I mean, teams in the top 8 can move around. I'm just looking at teams that are in and teams that are out.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think the Suns are going to pick it up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the Clippers are a little surprised as well. I realize they don't have Kawhi Leonard, and that's a big deal, but Paul George is a pretty damn good player, and the rest of their roster is well filled out, as we know. So are they going to miss the play-in tournament altogether? That would be a surprise for me. But
so who do they knock out?
Good question.
The Timberwolves have been playing well.
Timberwolves are a real dark horse right now.
Lakers are underperforming, and they're 3-3. Yeah. I would say the Kings are underperforming, but they haven't been there.
Yeah.
And then you have the Grizzlies.
And the Grizzlies are a team that I would not want to play.
Yep.
I mean, John Morant is just an absolute beast. He's come out all-star potential. Not just potential. He's playing. He's taken his game to the next level.
Yep.
That's what it looks like. That's the difference between him and De'Aaron Fox.
Thunder are 1-5. Y'all better watch out for the Thunder though soon. They're gonna get good, especially if the Clippers miss the playoffs this year.
Draft right.
They're gonna have another good draft pick.
Got to draft.
They're gonna have their own draft pick. I mean, a team that drafted Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Kevin Durant. I think they're pretty good at drafting players.
Well, yeah. When you get, I mean,
we took Marvin Bagley number 2.
Yeah. No, you're right. I would say that you need more evidence than drafting guys like Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. James Harden, great pick. I don't think anybody saw him becoming the player that he became,
and they gave up on him too.
Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant, I think most people expected to be pretty good players. So to me, drafting right is drafting guys like Tyrese Haliburton at number 12. You know, a guy that is falling or people there's all of a sudden some concern about and still ends up being a great player at a value pick.
Yep.
You know, when you take Kevin Durant number 2 overall, sure, he could be a bust, but I don't consider that drafting well.
Okay. So let's move on here to the Kings' next game, Tuesday, against the Jazz. They lost a game earlier in the season of the Jazz. I think it was game 2 to 110-101. How are you feeling about this game? What do the Kings need to do to pull out a victory?
Well, this is going to be another tough one. I mean, the Jazz, I don't think played very well against the Kings in that first game, and they were still able to win. They were out, or Joel Ingles, I almost called him Ingles.
Joe Ingles on this channel.
Joel Ingles did not play very much at all, and he's a guy that can easily hit 6-7 threes and go for 25 points. They're going to have to guard the three-point line. We know Utah loves to spread it out, use Rudy Gobert inside, Donovan Mitchell with the pick and roll. You know, Donovan Mitchell, he's a superstar in this league. They're just going to have to play the same type of effort defensively against him, just try to make it as difficult as possible. But you have to close out, you have to guard the three, and you have to crash the boards with a guy like Rudy Gobert. So it's going to be a tough night for Rashawn Holmes. I really would like to see him stay out of foul trouble as much as possible. And then Alex Len's going to have to play big off the bench because I assume that they're going to use him instead of Tristan Thompson for this game.
Yeah, I think rebounding, three-point defense is huge in this game. And also the Kings got to make some shots.
Well, yeah, they do. They have to make shots to win every game. A team like Sacramento that plays small, that shoots a lot of threes, you know, what's the saying? You live by the three, you die by the three. They can't shoot 20% from three and expect to win most games, especially when you're playing a team as good as Utah.
You got to score more than 100 points to win a game in this league, especially with this day and age. We saw them lose today with 99 points. They lost to the Jazz earlier, 101 points. So it's the last game of a 4-game road trip. Kings need to win this game.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I look to Harrison Barnes for this game in particular to have a big game because to me he's going to have the best, most favorable matchup.
Okay.
Obviously De'Aaron Fox has been struggling, but I would expect to see Donovan Mitchell pick him up a lot over the course of that game, which means Harrison Barnes got to play big.
Yep.
For the Kings.
And it'll be awesome to see more Mitchell on Mitchell crime, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I want to shout out Davion. He had another awesome steal today. It ended up being a jump ball, but he just grabs the ball right out of their hands. And it's funny. I heard, I think it was Mo talking about after the game. A lot of guys, they have an instinct to swipe down on the ball and knock it off their knee or out of bounds. They end up creating a lot of fouls. We talked about how Davion Mitchell doesn't foul a lot. Part of it could be because he just goes in there and grabs the ball. He doesn't try and hit the ball away from somebody.
He's just really smart defensively. One of the things that you're taught as an offensive player when you're in transition, you're on a fast break, or when you're just attacking the basket in general, is to bring your body into the body of the defender. Mm-hmm. You know, we see Harrison Barnes does it really well, that Euro step. But it's not a Euro step where you're trying to create space or get around somebody. It's more of a slow the pace down, use your momentum, your body weight into the defender so it takes their ability to jump away. And what you do is you bring the ball across the defender's body. Mm-hmm. You bring it in really tight, and you bring it across the body. And like you said, a lot of people try to slap at it. What Davion is so smart defensively, or why he's so smart defensively, is because he uses what the offensive player is trying to do to his advantage. He knows that the ball is going to come back across the body as he tries to get to the other side of the hoop. Yep. So he waits for that, and he just wraps it up because he's already in tight. So the ball is literally brought right into his chest. You have to be extremely quick and very intelligent and anticipate well in order to make that happen in real time.
Mm-hmm.
But he's able to do it. So,
yep. Sean says, the only thing I'm worried about is Fox at this point. The one guy you should not be worried about.
it's hard to argue with that. He's the one guy that you don't want to worry about. He's the one guy that if you worry about him, it affects this team the most because he's supposed to be the best player.
Yeah.
But again, there's a lot of season left. I really liked the shot selection that De'Aaron Fox had today. If he hits 3 more of those open mid-range jump shots.
Yep.
As
Kings are in the game.
Kings are in the game, and we're, instead of talking about when is he going to break out of this slump, we're talking about, is this the moment where he breaks out of the slump? So we will get to that point.
Yep. So the last thing I want to talk about today is Rashawn Holmes. If you guys have any more questions for us or any comments or anything that you want us to answer, make sure you guys leave it down in the chat. We're going to talk about Rashawn Holmes for a little bit. We're going to answer any of your questions, and then we're going to let you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday. So we saw Rashawn Holmes hit another three-pointer tonight.
Yes.
Which is amazing because the Kings only shot 19% from 3. It was a buzzer beater, the end of the fourth, garbage time. It didn't really matter or do anything. But Rashawn Holmes, 22 points, 13 rebounds. He's been
5
playing
offensive rebounds.
He's been playing great. Only 4 personal fouls. I know that's something that you and I both talked about earlier on as being issues for him. But we've seen him make the 3 this year a few times. I think he's got 3 threes this year.
Is it 3? I thought it was 2.
And he's shooting pretty good. So that just makes me think, Calvin, should he be shooting the ball a little bit more?
From 3?
From 3.
No.
Not at all?
Nope.
Why not?
Because you got way too many guys on this team who need to be taking threes before Rashawn Holmes. Rashawn Holmes is effective for a lot of reasons, but he's most effective close to the basket. There's no secret about that. I think if you tell Rashawn, okay, it's part of the offense now, we're drawing up threes for you, that hurts the Kings.
You're right. He's only shot 2 threes and only made 2 threes this year.
Yeah.
So he's 100%. But I think that if you can't leave him open on the 3-point line, I'm not going to be drawing up plays for him to shoot threes. But when you're running this pick and roll, pick and pop game, and maybe he's not rolling to the basket or somebody leaves him open on the 3-point line, I don't think it's a bad thing to have him taking these shots.
I would much rather him.
I don't want him shooting 8 a game like Harrison Barnes.
Sure. I just don't think that it makes sense from a strategic standpoint and from a I think that you're diminishing Rashawn Holmes as a player if you're having him take threes. That's not where he's effective. Yes, he's 2 for 2 with a couple of buzzer beaters, but he needs to be at the free throw line or at the rim. That's where he needs to be. And if he's shooting threes, he had 5 offensive rebounds tonight.
Mm-hmm.
If he's out there shooting threes, who's getting offensive rebounds? Harrison Barnes has done a good job of rebounding so far, but you're asking a lot from the rest of this team, a smaller team, to go out there and try to make an impact on the glass.
Yeah, I've never been a big fan of big men shooting threes regularly just based on that fact that there's nobody in there to rebound.
Yeah.
And the Kings have been playing so small that Rashawn is by far the biggest guy on the court, almost at all times.
The NBA has changed a lot. There's plenty of big guys that can shoot threes in this league right now. Rashawn Holmes to me is not one of them.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you there. Anything else you want to touch on before we wrap this thing up?
No, man, let's eat some brunch or something, get this loss out of our mouths and and move on.
All right, guys.
We're on to Utah.
On to Utah. Want to remind you all, on Tuesday, we are doing a pregame podcast, not postgame. I'm doing a little bit of traveling, so we will be live Tuesday morning before the game. And then I'll be back on Wednesday, so we'll be doing the normal post-game live after the game on Wednesday. So we'll catch you all soon. And in the meantime, go Kings.
Go Kings.
Thanks, guys.